Hey everybody, this is Kelly from True Crime IRL, and I have a fun announcement. This December, I am joining forces with the captain from True Crime Garage, and we are doing a live show together.
It's a true crime show.
Well, yeah, that's what we do, Captain. True crime.
First, I'd like to say hello. Thanks for joining me.
And me. I will be there too, Kelly from True Crime IRL.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about some of our favorite and most controversial cases that we have covered. And we're going to do a little Q&A session. I'm going to be asking the captain a lot of questions that you're going to want to know the answers to.
Here's a good question. Here's one I get asked a lot. Captain, how do you maintain your sexiness?
No, we will not be talking about your sexiness at this show, Captain. We're going to be talking about true crime.
Yeah, I don't mean to correct your expertise, but you missed something.
What'd I miss?
Could tell them what the location possibly was.
Oh, right. The Blind Pig at 120 North Walnut Street in Champaign, Illinois.
It seems at least on this property that there was actual buildings.
Wow. Nothing gets past you. Yes. It's a building. There are buildings. We are doing our show in a building called The Blind Pig, and it's a bar. So if you want to join the captain and I for an amazing night of true crime and fun, beers and blood, mayhem and murder,
it's really about setting the tone for the show.
Join us at the Blind Pig Company, 120 North Walnut Street in Champaign, Illinois, on Saturday, December 11th at 6 p.m. Go to CaptainFatHands.com/events to buy your tickets.
Check it out.
And until then, lock your doors, people. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Lock your jib.
How many people do you think will be coming?
2011.
No, probably not. Welcome to True Crime IRL, true crime in real life. I'm your host, Kelly Behrens-Brink. Hey everybody, it's Kelly from True Crime IRL, and this is our monthly edition of True Crime Thursday Night, live from Franklin Street Brewing Company in Manchester, Iowa. Tonight I'm joined by my trusty sidekicks, Kevin and Joe, and we are discussing the life and times of Jeffrey Dahmer. Now, I know Jeffrey Dahmer has been done a lot. I know that. And, that's really why we chose this case, because when we do our true crime live shows, we try to do a case that everyone in the audience is going to be familiar with. Jeffrey Dahmer is one of the worst of the worst. And in order to get through these live shows, we do inject a lot of humor. But that humor is never directed at the victims. As always, with every case I discuss on True Crime IRL, my heart and my sympathy goes out to the family of those victims and everybody involved, except Jeffrey Dahmer. Really don't feel too bad for this guy, and we make a lot of jokes at his expense. That's what we do, and that's how we get through this. So without further ado, let's talk some true crime. Live from Franklin Street Brewing Company in Manchester, Iowa. If you'd like to join us in the audience at some point, that would be great. We do this every month. It's always the second Thursday of every month. We might be changing that, though, in the coming new year, so stay tuned for those details. Are we good?
I don't know.
I think we're good. Welcome to True Crime Thursday Night, everybody. I'm Kelly Behrens-Brink, and I host a podcast called True Crime IRL. You can find it on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all the things. You can find me all of those places. So please listen if you haven't already. And we are here the second Thursday of every month. We do a live show. It's very casual. There is really no format at all to what we do. We just like to talk about true crime. We really appreciate audience participation. If anybody has anything to say, please just come on up to the mic and talk, raise your hand, yell out, whatever you want to do. So tonight I am joined by my trusty sidekicks, Kevin.
Hello.
This is Kevin Ostrander.
Yes.
Kevin works here at Franklin Street, or he did.
Thank you.
Before.
Sorry.
He's retired now from everything, from life. And then Joe Hegland. He is invaluable to me. He always sets up the audio equipment and everything and prints the things and does all the stuff and interjects a lot of funny comments.
And I do nothing.
He does nothing.
True, he does
He's just
nothing.
here to look pretty.
I am good at nothing.
He's the eye candy of a
Yes.
podcast. So
I mean, look at that
that
backwards
makes
hat.
sense. Yeah.
You wear it so well.
Thank you.
So tonight we're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer. Everybody knows a little bit about Jeffrey Dahmer, probably, right? He's kind of a household name in American true crime. He was an American serial killer and sex offender who committed the murder and dismemberment of 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1981. Many of his murders involved necrophilia and cannibalism. So we're going to talk about that tonight.
All
Oh,
people with food, you are ready.
As they're eating right here.
enjoy your Mexican food and salsa and meat. Although he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, and psychotic disorder, he was found to be legally sane in his trial, and he was sentenced to 16 terms of life imprisonment.
So I mean, we've done some of these, and a person's only maybe gotten convicted of one,
Yeah.
or something like this. He had 17 on that, but even still, for someone like Jeffrey Dahmer, that seemed like a whole lot. I mean, was
yeah.
there more?
That's
But
a good...
wait.
Yeah.
Is there more?
But wait, there's more.
Potentially.
I think, and this is just me talking as a true crime buff, I think there are more. I think there are definitely more than 17 people, because we're going to find out in a little bit. He didn't just live in Milwaukee. He's known as the cannibal of Milwaukee, the Milwaukee cannibal, the Milwaukee monster, lots of different names. But he lived in Florida, he lived in Germany, and he was around when a lot of other murders took place. And I'm just going to say, I think his MO fits in with a lot of those murders, and I think he did a lot more than just 17 of them. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But first, let's talk about his early life, because
Okay.
we always like to talk about what makes a serial killer a serial killer. And I think he had a few of those things that are
Yeah. How was his parents? Let's
his
start there.
parents.
As always.
So he had a pretty normal life, middle class upbringing. His dad was a research chemist. His mom was a teletype instructor, whatever that means. I'm not sure. What's a typewriter?
Does
I don't
anybody know what a teletype is?
I
think
did-
it's an old-fashioned way of texting.
I think so too. I
Yeah.
did look it up, so I'm just
what is
playing
it?
dumb. I don't know. Don't ask me these questions.
But I mean, so when you're looking at this kind of stuff, though, as we've come to know, obviously something's normally messed up with the parents. Mm-hmm. What? I
Yeah.
mean,
So
are we talking mommy issues here?
I think there
Are
were
we-
some major mommy issues. His mom was normal-ish, but she had some issues. He was born in 1960 in Milwaukee. His parents were Lionel and Joyce. Lionel was a pretty good dad with no major issues other than his career kept him away a lot, away from home. But, a lot of people work long hours and don't have serial killers for children. So
that they know of.
that they know
That
of.
they know of.
Yet. But Dahmer's mom, she had some things going on. She was known to be tense, greedy. She wanted attention. She wanted pity. She was argumentative with her husband and their neighbors. She was a hypochondriac. She suffered from major depression. She wanted constant attention, and she spent a lot of time in bed. I like to spend a lot of time in bed too.
What?
I mean, but she attempted suicide at least once, maybe more. But yeah, so mom and dad, Lionel and Joyce, they argued a lot, and that just made little Jeffrey Dahmer, feel unsafe. He wasn't with a solid family. He just didn't know, where things were going, so he felt always unsure of the future, kind of. His teachers would say that early on they detected some abandonment issues with him. So he definitely was like yearning for a solid family foundation and did not get it. So, and we hear that a lot with serial killers.
Remember that. Yeah. Don't be like that.
Yeah, I think we need to do like a show about how not to raise a serial killer.
There you go.
Great.
That'd be
Yeah.
like opposite of everything we've talked about. So
Yeah.
It
far.
would. It'd be
Yeah.
very positive. We should do that.
We should do,
I feel like there's a good checklist
whole like
just kinda created.
workbook.
Right.
Like, did you do this today?
Ooh, a coloring book?
Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff.
Sudoku?
Checklist.
Yeah.
Just like change it up 1 month and just be like, instead of, we're going to talk about someone who has it all together and had a healthy childhood and
Here's what
is
to
like
do.
a pillar of the community.
Yes.
And didn't like eat people.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like, yeah.
But
you're at the
tonight we're
bottom.
telling you what not to do, so don't do what Joyce did. By the age of 6, Dahmer's family would move to Akron, Ohio for Lionel's job. Shortly after this, Dahmer would get a new baby brother, and his parents let him choose the name, and he chose the name David. I think this was an attempt to kind of bring him out of his shell, get him to interact more with the family. But in elementary school, he was quiet, timid, and shy, and he showed an early interest in dead animals.
There it is.
no.
There it
That's
is.
the thing.
Yes, part of the McDonald triad coming into play again. Yeah, he just was oddly thrilled by the sound of the animal bones clanking together. And actually, he called them fiddlesticks. He would bang them
get it,
together.
man.
And yeah. My kids don't do that, thank goodness. But he would search beneath the family home for dead animal carcasses. And he was just really obsessed with dead animals, skeletons. He liked to know about parts of the body.
Inquisitive. Okay.
Very inquisitive. I mean, that can be a good thing.
Scientist.
Or it could,
I mean-
like his dad was a research chemist, so maybe
There you go. Yeah, it was all for science.
Well, his
I would
dad did say, as a science person, he was really proud of his little boy, for being inquisitive and wanting to know about the human body and things like that. And he thought at first, he's like, "Oh, I've got a little doctor on my hands or something." No,
Not quite.
No.
Little
Doctor.
bit, little bit different than that.
a little different.
He
Okay.
crawled beneath the house.
Looking for skeletons. Sometimes he'd save the carcasses and the bones in formaldehyde, preserve them. Like when his family would have a chicken dinner or something, he would save the chicken bones and bleach them and save them. And
Oh yeah, totally normal.
this
Yeah.
actually,
That, I mean,
Well-
That's part of our Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just you
I
take
mean-
down the turkey to
Well-
right
Yeah.
to the bone.
shoot, my kids do
Bleach
find
it
the
clean.
wishbone very intriguing, but
that's-
not a serial killer does that make. So no. But this really makes me want to go vegan. I was eating while I was preparing this episode, and I was eating meat, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go vegan this month, maybe after reading about this.
Wait till after Thanksgiving.
Oh,
They
I
plop that
can't.
big turkey just right on the table.
Right.
And that's all you can think about.
That's all I
is,
can think about is Jeffrey Dahmer. So his fascination.
Happy Thanksgiving,
I know,
everyone.
Yes.
Hope that crosses
Oh,
your mind
yes.
while you're sitting there with the
So
Thanksgiving meal. Is
there
Jeffrey
are,
Dahmer.
Yes, there are going to be recipes, cooking tips. There's going to be food and eating involved in this. Probably not anything you're going to want to equate to your Thanksgiving dinner.
Can we tell Jeffrey Dahmer jokes?
Oh, heck yeah.
Do you know what Jeffrey Dahmer had in his shower?
Oh,
Head and shoulders.
true.
Ba-dum-tsh.
That's true. He did.
I'll do more as I go along.
I love the groans.
Okay, where are we at?
Yeah, so as he got older, his fascination with animals and death would get a little more graphic and gory. And coincidentally, every year that he would go a little more off the edge, his mom was also popping more pills. Her mental illness was getting worse, so it had something to do with that. As a teenager, he would start collecting roadkill, dissecting animals. And then by the age of 14, he was a severe alcoholic. At 14, he was bringing booze with him to school, hiding it in his jacket. He couldn't get through the day without being drunk, really. And he called it his medicine. Well, he's not wrong there.
Well,
but
what, Jay? No, I know.
But
I'm
you
like,
should be of age.
I mean, it's not high school, but I mean, does that make me an alcoholic?
You don't
Or-
drink.
No.
Okay.
You shouldn't
But
drink
he
in high
was
school every day.
14. You're
Yeah, that's a little.
86. I'm just kidding. He was quiet in school. The school staff thought he was a polite kid, polite enough. He had average grades. He was actually a good tennis player, and he was in the school band. So
Model student.
he was trying. When he reached puberty, he had discovered that he was gay, but he did not feel comfortable telling his parents about that. So he repressed it, and he developed really violent sexual fantasies and constant thoughts of dominating a sexual partner, like a submissive male, attacking someone, murdering them, and dissecting them. That's bad. Yeah.
Yes.
That's bad.
That's bad. Yeah.
In school, he did, though. Has anyone watched My Friend Dahmer, the movie My Friend Dahmer? Yeah. It's pretty good, actually. It's a good movie. I watched it, too.
Fact
So-
or fiction? That's fiction, right?
No, I mean, it's pretty factual,
Is
I
it?
think. And it talks about, in the movie, that he was total class clown. He tried to get friends by being the class clown. He was not PC, though. He would have, like, fake seizures, or he would fake like a mental or physical handicap trying to make people laugh that way. We're going to fast forward a little bit to his senior year. His mom and dad were fighting more. They decided to call it quits. His mom and dad both moved out of the house, leaving Jeffrey Dahmer alone with a home, just alone by himself. So he was living alone in the family home. And in 1978, just 3 weeks after his graduation from high school, he would commit his first murder.
So he got started right away. Like
Right away.
did.
He
He didn't wait
skipped
it out.
college and went
For
straight
murder.
to Murder
Straight to
101. Yes.
All right, good.
Yeah.
He,
right.
No
Yes.
student loans, straight to murder.
Total.
To murder.
Yes.
No debt.
No debt,
No.
just murder.
Just murder.
Good for him. No. So on June 18th, he picked up a hitchhiker named Stephen Mark Hicks, who was almost 19, and he lured him back to the home on the premise of having a few beers, hanging out, listening to music. And this kiddo was on his way to a rock concert, and in the late 70s, everyone was on their way to
Oh,
a
yeah,
rock.
we did.
Every horror movie is
Yeah.
like, hey, we're going to hitchhike and go to a rock concert, or we're on our
We're going to
Volkswagen,
California.
whatever. Like, everyone hitchhiked then.
I
Why?
don't really see that anymore. There's not a lot of
Everybody
hitchhikers
died.
anymore.
That's
Everyone
why.
died. Yeah.
Do we know what
The
concert he
internet
was going
happened,
to?
and
I
everyone
don't-
found out that everyone died hitchhiking.
Yes.
I'm pretty
And then
sure
just
most
weeded
of
them
them
out.
died.
They did.
Yeah.
They all
Well-
died. So Hicks, his victim, made it very obvious that he was not gay. Dahmer was. He knew that he was going to try to escape if he made any advances on him. So as Hicks was sitting there in a chair in the living room, Dahmer took a 10-pound dumbbell and hit him in the head, knocking him out. And then he put the dumbbell on his throat, strangled him, basically, and killed him. So that was number one. The following day, he dissected Hicks's body in the basement. He buried the remains in a shallow grave in the backyard. Several weeks later, he unearthed the remains. He removed the flesh from the bones, dissolved it in acid, flushed it down the toilet, crushed the bones with a sledgehammer, and scattered them in the woods behind the family home.
Now,
So-
that's like quite a way to start. I mean, it's
I know.
not just doing that. It's like, boom, just everything.
He
just like,
eviscerate. Like, there was no trace. That body was gone.
So this is something he confessed to later on.
He did,
Okay.
yeah.
you don't just think that like that. I mean, well, I guess you can't, but it's not without like planning or something. Either that, or he had a long night ahead of him to plan that out
Yeah.
before things happened or something.
And he
'cause
was young, too. Like,
That's a quick way to get started.
he
doing
was a
that.
born professional. Like, he just knew his trade very well, knew what to do, I guess. So So 6 weeks later, he enrolled at Ohio State University, hoping to major in business, but he quickly found out that his severe alcoholism and college classes didn't mix. He flunked out in the course of about 3 months, all of his classes, and he dropped out. And then his dad wanted him to enlist in the U.S. Army. So he did, and he trained as a medical specialist at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas.
That'd be good.
So he probably
Doesn't sound
learned
bad.
additional skills doing that.
That
I'm
sounds
sure.
helpful.
Yeah. And then in 1979, he was deployed to Baumholder, West Germany. He was a combat medic there, and he was average or slightly above average as a soldier, but again, he was drunk all the time. Like, he would start drinking the second he woke up, always drunk, combative. He was a mouthy drunk. And so it just really interfered with military life. So he had a hard time with that. Coincidentally, here's one thing you don't hear a lot about when you hear about Jeffrey Dahmer. While he was in Germany, there were at least 5 murders of women near the U.S. Air Force Base where he was stationed from 1979 to 1981. These were brutal murders in which the victims were mutilated, kind of fit in with Jeffrey Dahmer's MO. Do you think he might have committed these? I think he might have.
Do you know what Jeffrey Dahmer's favorite fruit is?
What?
Chopped dates.
Chopped dates.
Never mind. Okay.
Yes.
I'll find a different one.
We get it. I got it. It was a good joke.
For people just listening to our microphones, the audience is silent.
We should have the camera turned towards the audience.
Can they see? Yeah, we're all on there. Hi. Oh, there's people watching
there
us.
is.
Look at
Hi,
that.
people.
The MO of those German murders didn't totally fit in because he was gay, he was attracted to men, but I'm thinking maybe it could still fit. He could have been experimenting, like he was big on learning the human body, so it's possible that he had something to do with these murders. So 2 men would actually also come forward from his time in the military and told a story that they had been drugged and sexually assaulted by Jeffrey Dahmer during their time in Germany, but they were too scared to come forward. They didn't want people to think they were gay, or, there was that huge fear factor with stuff like that at the time. People just would keep it to themselves rather than come forward. But he drugged them, assaulted them. He also, in Germany, when he would get really drunk, he would confess to that first murder in Ohio. He would say to the peers in the military, I killed a guy once in Ohio. Here's how I did it. And a lot of people recounted that story. People thought he was full of shit, basically, and never took it seriously. So
Yeah, like he'd do something like that, is what they
yeah, they're like, oh, he's just a drunk. He couldn't handle that. But yeah.
That's a very specific story. To
It
shell
was
out to people.
super specific.
For people to be like,
I know.
Jeffrey,
Yeah.
just being silly. Like, that's like,
Oh, that Jeffrey.
and then I crushed up his bones. That's too much. You're full of shit.
We laugh about it, but you have to find something to laugh about in cases like this because they are so dark and so hard to talk about. So we don't mean disrespect, but, we're making
right.
fun of him. So. Hey everybody, it's Kelly. I wanted to take a moment to thank you all for listening to True Crime IRL. Because of your support, our show has grown a lot over the last few months. I especially wanted to thank the people who have recently dropped a tip in the TCIRL tip jar. Cheryl Bullock in Illinois, thank you so much. Your donation was very generous. Hope to see you at our live show December 11th. I also need to thank Jillian F. in Minnesota and Mike G. in Nebraska. If you would like to support the show, there are a few ways you can do that. First, you can go to TrueCrimeIRL.com and click on the donate button in the middle right side of the homepage to drop a tip into the tip jar. Next, you can unlock lots of special features by becoming a patron. Just go to patreon.com/TrueCrimeIRL podcast for more information on supporting the show. You can buy True Crime IRL merch on the website TrueCrimeIRL.com and click on merch in the top menu. And finally, subscribe to the show and review it. us. Your 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen is a huge help in getting the word out about our podcast. Again, thank you to everyone who has donated recently. You guys are amazing, and I cannot thank you enough.